from mystampin.com, and today we're going to be making this card. This was the card I made for one of my convention swaps, and I found the inspiration for this on Pinterest. It was Donna McCoss's Pinterest board. So the products I'm going to be using today are the Lots of Thanks stamp set, as well as the new photopolymer stamp set, Flower Patch. I'm going to be inking it up in Melon Mambo. I'm using the note card and envelope set. You get 20 cards and 20 envelopes to a set, and it's a great size. It's 3.5 by 5. So here's the Melon Mambo. I'm going to take the large flower and ink it up. And you will have a tendency to get ink on the acrylic block, so just take a baby wipe and just get all that ink off. If you don't do that, you'll have a really good chance of getting the ink all over your card. And trust me, I did that while I was making these cards. And I'm going to be stamping below, or have the note card on top of a Stampin' Pierce mat. I highly recommend using this if you have it. If you don't have one, you need to order one. It's going to really help with your impressions using the photopolymer stamp sets. You have a tendency, especially with large stamps, not to get the middle part of it. So with the piercing mat, it's perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is using the Lots of Thanks, one of the stamps from that set, and I've cut a piece of vellum 1 1/4 by 3.5, and I'm just using some snail to put it down on the grid mat. I used a little too much snail, and I really pressed hard on that, so next time I need to not use so much and press down so hard. I did that just so that when I'm using the Stamp-A-Majig, it wouldn't move around. But I'm going to be using gold embossing powder to really give it a pretty look, and I'm using my embossing buddy to just get all the static off of the vellum before I use Versamark ink on there. You can have a chance of having more powder on the vellum than what you intended if you don't use the embossing buddy. And it's going to take me a while to line this up. Honestly, I think I'm getting to the point where I need readers because things are starting to get a little blurry up close, and I really want to stick my head in the camera, but I'm going to not do that. So it's going to take me a little while to figure out if I've got this lined up, and actually I never got it lined up perfectly, but there's the Stamp-A-Majig, and what you do is you just stamp your image on the carrier sheet and then place it where you want it on the piece of paper. And then you use that T-square to hold it in place, and then I'm going to remove the carrier sheet, and then you just keep that T-square where you like it, and then you'll stamp the image. And don't move that T-square until you know you have a good impression. If you don't get a good impression, and if the T-square is still in the exact same place, you can just re-stamp and it will be perfect. Okay, then I'm going to get my embossing powder, and here you can see that I pressed a little too hard on the adhesive. It's not removable, but I'm making it removable. So I got some paper on the back, and I'll take care of that. I'll get rid of that paper in a little bit. So here's my embossing powder, and I'm just going to spoon it on top of the ink, and then I'm just going to heat set it with my heat tool. And if you get some powder in some areas that was not intended, if you just have like a paintbrush, like from one of your kids' watercolor sets, just keep that on hand, and you can use that to brush off the powder that is in places that you don't want it. Because when you heat set it, it will melt the powder and show there. So here I am just taking a paintbrush and just kind of lightly dusting off the powder from areas that I don't want it to be there. Now my heat tool is the older Stampin' Up! Version, so it only has one heat setting. So what I do is I put it off to the side and heat it up a little bit before I put it directly to the paper. This seems to help. But when you're heat embossing, if you haven't done this before, You want to make sure that once the powder's melted, maybe keep it on there for like a second or two longer, but not any longer than that, because if you keep it on there too long, you'll have the tendency to burn the powder. And then once you've heat embossed it, just put it to the side for just a few seconds just to let it cool down. Now I'm going to be using a Martha Stewart glue pen. It's like a glue, or a pen, excuse me. Oh, here you can see me using my adhesive remover, and that helped just get the paper off of there. But the Martha Stewart glue pen that I'm going to use, I'm just going to put little dots all the way around it. And you may have noticed from the picture at the beginning, you see dots behind the vellum. It disappears, I promise. So if you see it for a few hours, it will eventually disappear. And like I said, I cut that vellum 1.5 or 1.25 by 3.5. I did a little bit long just so that it gives you the opportunity to center it, and then you can just trim off the excess once you've attached it to the card. And you could probably use the Stampin' Up's two-way glue. I just wanted to use this. I had good results with this. So just making little dots all the way around. And I am trying to go behind the words, and that really helps with the glue. So I'm just going to center this, and with it being wet glue, it gives you the opportunity to go back and forth if you don't have it positioned correctly. And then just pressing it down. And then, like I said, I'm going to take my paper snips and just trim off the excess on either side. And the Melon Mambo and the gold are just such a pretty color combination. I just love that. It was really a stunning card in person. And then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach some gold sequins from the sequin trim that we offer, and I'm going to be using Crystal Effects just to glue those down. Really easy. Just put them wherever you want, wherever looks good. I did 3. You can use 5. I like to do things in odd numbers for decorations. Sorry, my hair. And that's one of those quick cuts pick-me-up sticks. I think that's what they're called. Those things are a lifesaver. Oh my gosh. Especially for tiny, tiny little embellishments like that. So here I am just finishing up, and that will do it. Thank you everybody for watching my video. Please subscribe, comment, let me know how you like it. Thanks. Bye.